When President Trump heard about me, about the injustice of my story, he saw me as a person. He had compassion, and he acted.
That was Alice Johnson. President Trump commuted her life sentence after he met with Kim Kardashian, her advocate. Alice served more than 20 years in federal prison for a first-time nonviolent drug offense. In her RNC speech last night, Johnson told her story of redemption while making her case for criminal justice reform. She also gave credit to Trump for signing the bipartisan First Step Act into law. Joining me now, criminal justice advocate and my dear friend Alice Johnson. Alice, always good to see you. Until now, you have been very careful. You've always said you're a criminal justice advocate, but you didn't want to get political. Speaking at the RNC is as political as it gets. Why did you change your mind?
It was a great opportunity to get the message across the nation to support criminal justice reform. And as I said in my speech last night, my dear friend, I made a promise to the women who I left behind and also the men that I would never stop fighting for them whenever and wherever it takes me.
But it's more than saying you're fighting for criminal justice reform. By endorsing President Trump, you're saying he is the person who's fighting for criminal justice reform. You don't believe Joe Biden would?
I don't know what Joe Biden would do. I just know that with this administration, they've been open to the things that I've been bringing to the table. So I'm so focused, Stephanie, on my mission that I'm not going to speak for what Joe Biden will or will not do. I'm going to speak to what I know.
Your speech seemed to make the most compelling case that President Trump is a compassionate person. Do you believe other people in the African-American community feel that he's compassionate, especially given his law and order policies?
Well, even law and order must be underpinned by justice and mercy. And, and many people who I've talked to, they are very, very compelled by what he did for me and the compassion that he showed for me. I wouldn't dare speak for what other people think. I just know that what I feel, and I know that he had compassion upon me, and I know that my situation moved him to act. And when I speak, Stephanie, I speak from a personal place. I can't speak for anyone else.
The president highlighted last night his executive order demanding 10-year prison sentences for anyone convicted of tearing down statues and monuments, including Confederate statues. How does that square with his criminal justice reform? 10 years.
That was the first time that I heard that. And I don't know what his full policy is. And I'm not trying to just be careful, but I don't want to speak out of turn. And so that's why I can't say that because that was my first time hearing that.
I can say that I certainly appreciate that you are no longer in prison and you're with your family. Last night, you were sitting in the audience on the White House lawn for President Trump's speech. Most of the people around you were not wearing masks. Can I ask you, were you tested for coronavirus beforehand?
Yes. Yes, I've been tested. I was tested before I went in there. So I had a mask on, and the people around me who I was sitting with, they had been tested.
Good. You know I want you to be safe, Alice. Last night
yes, I know. I had my mask, believe me. As soon as I got up, I put that mask back on.
Good. As soon as I'm like, Alice, when I watched last night, I said, my girl Alice better have a mask. I want her safe.
I did.
That speech, you had a chance.
Here.
You had a chance, I'm glad, to deliver your message to an enormous audience, to the country. Yeah. What do you hope viewers took away from your speech?
I hope that they took away that there are many others like me who deserve a second chance. And also my message to them that there is redemption, that there are so many others who deserve a second chance, and not to just look at us as being disposable because they don't see us. And so every time people see my face, I hope that they're reminded of the faces of others.
Alice, you had said you don't know what Joe Biden would do in terms of criminal justice reform. Has his campaign reached out to you? And if they do, would you be open to talking to them and learning about his plans?
His campaign has not reached out to me. I'd like to know everyone's plan, what they have. I know I've been working with the White House on what their plans are, and I feel good about them. So no one has reached out to me from his organization, from his campaign.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.